So today I would like to talk about the law, the goodness of the law, and also the badness of the law. And there's two types of laws, laws that are meaningful and good, and then there's human precepts that we hear about that the Pharisees get hung up on. But in the first reading, Moses says to the people, I hear the statutes and decrees which I am teaching you to observe, that you may live and enter the land and take possession of it. So what are the laws for? The laws are to help us live in the land of God. Now, some of you may know that I've been getting really into pickleball lately, and pickleball's got a lot of rules. But what I've learned is you don't start with the rules when you want someone to get to play pickleball. So, for example, here's one rule. When you serve, it has to come below your waist, and it has to be an upward swing, and it has to be below your wrist. That's when you serve. And you got to serve to the opposite quadrant. You can't hit this line. It's called the kitchen, but you got to get it somewhere in the other lines, and you're allowed to hit those lines, but not the kitchen line. Now, the kitchen is the space that you can't go into. It's like lava, but if the ball bounces first, you're allowed to step in the kitchen, and you can get the ball. Then there's unwritten rules, okay? The unwritten rules are everybody plays. So if you're really good, but there's other people there, you let them play. If you hit a ball and it touches the net and then rolls over and goes to the other side, you're supposed to say, sorry. Even though you're not sorry, you just say sorry. So there's all these written and unwritten rules. But if I were to just give you all the rules, you probably would glaze over and not want to be any part of it, right? But what's so great about pickleball is it's welcoming. Like, everybody's invited to play. And it doesn't matter what skill level you are, you get on the court and you begin, and from there, it kind of escalates. So I just want to give you a little example of what it looks like to be a beginner with pickleball. So Deacon Ken, can you help me out? So when you begin with pickleball, it's very basic. And the first thing that I learned, thank you, can you hold those for 1 second? The first thing that I learned is when you start with pickleball, you teach someone just how to toss, all right? So you get the motion. Cliff, you could do this, right? So you get the motion, you're tossing back and forth, and like that's called a dink. And you just do this until the person's comfortable, and then when they get comfortable, you grab the paddle, and then you go like that. You dink it to them, and then you dink it back. And then, if you're really good, you start to lob, and you go like that, and you begin to lob. And then after you get like that, you start a line drive, which I won't do. Thank you. But the idea is to get people involved. Pickleball is really cool because it's just community. Everyone plays, everyone gets involved, and you have fun. But every once in a while, there's that guy or that lady on the pickleball court that just likes the rules. And they cannot wait until somebody messes up on something and they can point out a rule that you didn't know. Well, that's what the Pharisees are doing. They're missing the whole point. The whole point of the law is to come to Jesus, to get to know Jesus, and he's right there in the midst, and they're pointing out what his disciples are doing wrong. And Jesus, he's taking these disciples who don't really understand that much in the beginning, and he's inviting them along for the journey. He's bringing them with him, and he's not just telling them about the law. He's showing them the law, because it's the very self. And I think it's good for us when we think about evangelizing, when we think about inviting other people into the faith. Probably not very effective if we say, you shouldn't be doing this in your life, you shouldn't be doing that in your life, you're doing this wrong. Like if we start with that, it really turns people off, right? And what I've learned over my years in the priesthood, especially when I do renewals or when people come back to the faith like through OCIA, what I've learned is that if I start with love and I introduce them to Jesus, then as they get into it, they begin to ask me, and they say, Father, this part of my life seems off. Can you teach me about that? So we'll open up the catechism and we'll begin teaching them about that. But it begins with love. And then the conversion happens. So don't be that jerk on the pickleball court. Don't be that jerk that evangelizes in that way. Start with love. Share with them why you love playing the game, why you love being with Jesus. And that's much more likely to invite people into our faith.